Hello everyone, SnakeEyes3434 here, and welcome to episode 2 on my DC Universe Online Power Guide. Today we'll be looking at the Earth class, which are part of the DLC Battle for Earth. The two roles they can play as are the DPS and tank, so let's get started. Let's look at the first power tree, Genokinesis, which will contain most of your tanking powers. Our first power is Earth Grip, which grabs enemies and pulls them towards you. Charge summons pillars of rocks that will knock back multiple targets. Debris Field causes a localized dust storm that damages enemies in its radius. Next is Rumble Crush, which allows you to pick up a large rock and throws it at your enemies. Meteor Shower is a 50% charge that will summon meteors to the sun and knock back your enemies. Crystal is one of the pets that you can summon and will fight by your side during battle. Damage Shift transfers some of the incoming damage to your active pet. Brick is your second pet that you can summon during battle. Striking Stone smashes your enemies between multiple rocks. Totem is an earth totem that will knock back and damage enemies in its radius. Envelop is his last supercharge in this tree and will shield and heal you. And last of all, Enforce, which forms a rock's fist and gives you extra critical strike damage. Now let's look at the second tree, Seismic, which will gain most of your damage dealing powers. Our first power is Pebble Blast, will shoot multiple rocks at an enemy. Epicenter damages and pulls enemies towards you. Tectonic Break forms rock pillars that will explode into your surrounding enemies. Earthquake is a 25% charge and will summon an earthquake that will stun and root enemies. Entomb is a 35% charge and encases an enemy in a crystal. Stone sends a single stone at an enemy. Upheaval summons a dust storm that damages enemies. Gemstone Shield summons gemstones to protect you from attacks. Jackhammer makes the ground shake to damage enemies. Localized Tremor is like Jackhammer and rumbles the ground as well. Unstoppable grants you immunity against control effects for a short time. And last of all, Sandblast, which blasts out sand to knock down your enemies. Now let's move on to the power loadouts. Choosing which power to use can be difficult, since you can only use 6 powers at a time. Note though, these loadouts work well for me, but they might not work out well for you, so change the settings to fit your playstyle. Also, these loadouts will take powers from both trees, so don't feel like you have to stay with only one tree. Now let's look at the tank role first. In my first slot, I have Earth Grip, which is essential to grab aggro from the enemy. Next is Oscillate Tremor, which will pop up enemies, thus giving your friends more time to burn the target down. Unstoppable is next, which will protect you and 3 other allies from control effects, which is essential in these raids. Debris Field isn't quite necessary, but it will help your fellow DPS out. Next is Tectonic Break, which will push enemies back and crowding you too much. And last of all is Envelop, which will heal and protect you as your healers can get to you in time. Now let's move on to the next class, which is DPS, or damage per second. My first slot is Striking Stones, which is great for hitting multiple targets. Next is Debris Field, which is great for clearing out lots of enemies at once. Enforce grants your weapon more critical damage. Charge is next, which is great for taking out enemies that are close by you. Crystal isn't quite really necessary, but it's nice to have an extra firepower by your side. And last of all is Earthquake, which is a supercharged and will damage multiple targets. Well, I hope you found this very helpful, and if you'd like to have any suggestions, just post them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later.